Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, I am here to convince you that Oricorio from Guardians Rising, which does not narrow it down really, there were loads of them, but the Sensu Oricorio should be played more than it is. Now, I like doing these videos every so often, showing you cards which are not being played very much, but really should be. We've done videos about Clefairy from Evolutions and even Mr. Mime a while ago when nobody was playing that. Today, it's all about the Sensu Oricorio. Now, in Expanded, this does see a fair amount of play, because one of the best decks in Expanded, at least until recently, it has dropped off the map a little bit, was Night March. And you've essentially got 30 HP Joltik and 60 HP Pumpkaboo, and a deck that really relies on just hammering Pokemon in the discard pile so you can Night March for lots of damage. And then Oricorio comes in with Supernatural Dance and goes, yay! I get to put one damage counter on your Pokemon in any way I like for each Pokemon in your discard pile. So if you've got like 10 Pokemon in the discard, I can get a KO on a Joltik and a Pumpkaboo. If you've got 12, I can hit 2 Joltik and a Pumpkaboo, or 2 Pumpkaboo, etc. It's been a good tech against Night March and Expanded for a while. But I think people are sleeping on how good it could be in Standard, and actually, I am partly looking here at the attack Revelation Dance. 30 damage for 1 energy, as long as there's a stadium card in play. Now, at the moment, we do have Field Blower. Field Blower can just plain take stadiums away. Little bit of a pain. But unless Field Blowers are being dropped left, right, and centre, at the moment, stadiums play a very big part in our format. Brooklet Hill is in pretty much every water or fighting deck. Parallel City is seeing a huge amount of play as a tech against decks like Zoroark, which rely on having a large bench. And all of these metal decks at the moment tend to be playing Mount Coronet. At least if they're Magnezone decks, they are definitely playing Mount Coronet. So, stadiums are around quite a lot. You can do 30 damage for 1 energy. Now, that's not particularly great. But the other thing we need to mention here, of course, is that Oricorio is a psychic Pokemon. Meaning that you're hitting weakness against incredibly relevant Pokemon, like Buzzwole, like Espeon GX, and the just released Naganadel GX. And of course, Choice Band is a thing. So with Choice Band here, you can actually be hitting 60 damage or 120 against Buzzwole, Espeon, or Naganadel for a single energy on a basic Pokemon. And that's the other thing to remember about Oricorio here. Teching this into decks is super easy, because it's one card and it takes any energy whatsoever. Okay, fine, you can't attach strong energy because that can only be put onto a fighting Pokemon, but as long as it's not strong energy, you can pop any energy you want onto Oricorio, and then you can be rolling. People are using Tapu Lele to attack Buzzwole, and if Buzzwole's got, say, 1 energy on, Tapu Lele with a double colourless energy and a Choice Band will be hitting 90. And Tapu Lele is a very efficient attacker against Buzzwole, and it will work quite nicely. Because either your opponent puts a second energy or you put another energy, and then you get a nice clean 2-hit KO on Buzzwole, and as long as they don't hit loads of Max Elixirs and Knuckle Impact or whatever, Tapu Lele will take out Buzzwole. Thing is, Oricorio will also very casually 2-hit KO Buzzwole with a Choice Band for a single energy, not a double colourless, and it's a basic Pokemon, but it only gives up 1 prize. Now, annoyingly, if you hit without a Choice Band, you do 60, then with a Choice Band 120, and this is where Buzzwole's super awkward 190 HP comes in. If Buzzwole had 180, it would be so much worse. But it unfortunately has 190, which means you do have to have a Choice Band here for both the hits, which is a real pain in the neck, but it's still a very casual 2-hit KO here. And one other thing I should probably mention at this point, Oricorio's got resistance to fighting. So if you whack it in the active, Buzzwole will be doing naturally 10 damage. Let's say, for argument's sake, they get a strong energy and a Diancie Prism Star. They're going up to 50, and then they're 2-hit KOing you. With Jet Punch, Buzzwole needs a strong energy and a Diancie Prism Star just to get a 2-hit KO on Oricorio. And if they whiff one of those for one turn, then they're not even getting a 2-hit KO on a basic single prize Pokemon. I think this is a very, very good attacker in decks against Buzzwole, and I must confess, this wasn't actually entirely my idea. Now, I've been playing around with it and thinking it should see a bit more play for a little while. That's not particularly new. I'm always looking at cards which I think should be a little bit better. But if we head over to the International in Sao Paulo this past weekend, we saw Oricorio getting some love, including in Diego's winning list. There was one Oricorio in Diego's winning list, and we saw it attack against Buzzwole. Now, Espeon's also a good card at the moment, and Oricorio is a ghost Pokemon, so it's weak to darkness. So Espeon will be 3-hit KOing with Psybeam. Espeon will actually need 3 energy to Psychic for 90 and get a 1-hit KO here, while you are destroying it. And then Naganadel comes round. Now Naganadel again, and both Espeon and Naganadel will be 2-hit KO'd with a Choice Band, because you're then doing 120, then 120, which is 240, easily enough to get a KO. Now, the difference is that Naganadel will get a fairly easy KO on Oricorio, because they do 20 damage for each Ultra Beast they've got in play. So if they've got 4 Ultra Beasts on the bench plus Naganadel in the active, that will do 100 and get a 1-hit KO. You can't win them all, ladies and gentlemen. So first of all, you've got a really, really efficient first attack here, which is actually incredibly useful for hitting these Psychic weak Pokemon. Now, if they're not weak to Psychic, it's not a great attack, but 120 for 1 energy on a basic Pokemon that gives up 1 prize against 2 of the most widely played Pokemon and possibly a 3rd in the format, I am all kinds of in favour of this. Now, we should also mention here that that other attack is still good. Yes, it might be a Night March special, but you still can drop damage counters. Now, the reality in Standard is you're probably only going to be hitting 4 or 5 Pokemon in your opponent's discard in most games. So you're probably only going to be dropping 4 or 5 damage counters. So the likelihood is you're not going to just be KOing routes on their bench left, right and centre. But first of all, if your opponent ever puts 6 Pokemon in the discard, then something like a Ralts or a Zorua or an Eevee, as soon as it hits the bench, you can drop 6 damage counters and KO it. That in and of itself is quite nice. But really, this is just for the you thought I needed a Guzma, didn't you? Kind of turn. Those turns where you do 180 to a Buzzwole and your opponent goes to the bench, well, you just pop an Oricorio down, drop a damage counter on it and get the KO. It can stop you having to dig for Guzma to win the game. If your opponent almost has a Pokemon KO'd but then manages to retreat it, Guzma it, get it out the active in some manner, Oricorio is your way of basically saying, ha! Oh, that was a good idea, man. It really was. And then you just, drop it down, use a bit of the old supernatural dance, and away it goes. When I initially looked at the Oricorio, I basically said that, you had the Power Oricorio, which admittedly is like a professor's letter. It's quite nice for grabbing some energy. And the Fire Oricorio is not completely terrible in Fire decks, although it's never actually seen any play. But when I looked at these Oricorio initially, I believe I did a video about all 4 of them, and I basically said it's almost kind of unfair how much better this Oricorio is than the others. And that really has proven. And this Oricorio just sits there to me as one of these Pokemon that is massively, massively underplayed. We just had a mirror match in the finals of an international championships of Buzzwole. This is great against Buzzwole. Resistance and doing 120 for 1 energy with a Choice Band. Espeon's still seeing play. This is great against Espeon. And even if you don't use it against Buzzwole and Espeon, any point in the mid to late game, you can start dropping a couple of damage counters and taking key KOs that you wouldn't be able to take otherwise. I mean, something like a Zoroark Golisopod deck has just no way to hit the bench. Generally speaking. Maybe they play Tapu Koko, maybe they don't, but then again, maybe your opponent plays a Mr. Mime. Oricorio has got your back. But I want to hear from you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think Oricorio is underplayed, or do you think it's just not that good? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. And do check out youtube.com/WassyPlays. We have a vanity URL, and I am delighted. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.